All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and yeah, I got my really good friend here, Emily. We're gonna talk about a really fun and exciting topic. But before we get started, Emily, why don't you do a little introduction to yourself, what you're doing right now, and a little bit about your background?
Sure. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Emily Haley, formerly Emily Fraser Thompson, because I know there are people that know me as that. Um, I'm a dog trainer. I call myself a behavior specialist, but we kind of all do a little bit of that. I do a lot of cat behavior work as well, but pretty much these days it's almost all dogs. Um, Born and raised with animals. A lot of work with horses. I worked big cats for years. I reptiles for 20 years, dogs my whole life, some wolves here and there. Martial artists, not currently practicing, but I teach with my kids, and my husband and I are still really into it when we can. And that's that's me in a nutshell.
She No, it's like it's
We
super
gotta we
cool.
gotta
It's
add the
like
legal consultant part in there too, just because I finished my first trial, so that was pretty cool.
all right, all right. I mean, that's already like what, like double, triple. That's like a quadruple threat right there with Emily. So she's literally like a badass. I literally just told her. So, um, yeah, no, it's yeah, no, if you haven't seen her work with dogs or like right, like if you really want to watch someone work with dogs, I definitely recommend because watching her content, even like because you have a Patreon, right?
I do. I made that one for free for everybody right now, just because it was starting to be a little too much pressure to put frequent paid content. I It's
Hmm.
hard enough to do content on the other social media stuff, and I stopped. I wasn't enjoying it as much, and man, I want to always stay loving my job. So I've been a little bit more present with my clients, and I post videos when I can, but it's all free right now on Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you guys definitely just check out her Patreon. I mean, a lot of good stuff. Uh, she and I love J Jack. We love learning from like just doing play based training, fulfillment, and all that. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember. I think right, like I met you in person, like at Chad Mackin's workshop that you hosted, like back, like what, like a year ago or something, or like did I meet you?
Yeah, but we were in Jay's workshop when Jay, Joel, and Larry came to Irvine in 2023. That's where I met you the first time. I didn't like formally
Oh,
shake your hand, but you and I were at that workshop together. So
oh my God, that was been a minute. What, that was like what, 3 years ago or like
yeah, yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah, that was the first time I met Jay in person.
yeah.
And I pulled him aside when he was on a break, and I'd been following his stuff for a while, and she was changing the way that I trained a lot, and I met him, and I broke down and started crying because I have this big, huge relationship gap with my 11-year-old senior dog. I put a ton of time into her, and she is so broken in the brain. It's not even funny. Like epitome of a rescue dog. And I broke down because of the all the hard work that I put in and the relationship, um, just conflict that I have with her, and I had never really expressed that to anybody. And just knowing he's the pit bull guy and stuff, and there was just something about that moment that was just I was just trying not to cry. And he looked at me and he was like, "Hey, look, I love crying. I will cry right now if you want. Like, let's just cry it out because this is fine." He just gave me this big old hug, and then we just started talking and became good friends after that. And like I said a million times, like he's changed my personal life. He's changed my dog training life. He of course changes everybody's lives, and so I adopted his training even more after that. So,
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Jay's,
but
and like I
that
think,
was when I met you, is
yeah,
when I started
you,
that out. So
you know what's funny? I'm like, I think it's like funny because like I meet so many people in conferences and seminars that I was just like, when you said that, I was like, wait, did I? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, wow, my memory is really foggy, or it's either is really bad,
it's
or
because
it's
you
just
go to a
something.
lot.
I go
You
to
go to a
a
lot of
lot,
those.
so
That's cool. That's really
but
cool.
yeah, but yeah, no, it's just like I love I love just traveling for seminars. It's just like I get to meet like really awesome people like you, like J Jack. Like J Jack I've been to like at least like at least 7 seminars. I think the one that Emily just hosted like recently this year, like I went. That was like I think my seventh seminar with him,
Lucky
and like
number
this,
7. That's awesome.
yeah, literally Jay is just like, oh, what's up, bro? Like, and we just talk about all the stories that he and I go back and forth on. So, but yeah, no, it's like awesome. I love connecting with that, and I think I think with today's topic, I think it'll be really, I think it's a good one, really good one, not for just the dog trainer, but for also like clients and their dogs. So because I hit up Emily, be like, what would be a good topic for us to go back and forth on, and then we talked about like, well, Emily suggested, how like talking about like how human emotions can like affect like our dog's behavior, or like just like when it comes to dog training, like I would like Emily, like what made you decide like that would be a good topic to talk about?
Well, I don't really see it focused on or hear it focused on a lot in
Yeah.
terms of how our body language, our voice tones, our micro expressions, how that betrays just it's just putting our emotions on our sleeve without meaning to. And we have some people that are extremely expressive, we and some people that are a little bit more reticent and everything in between. But my entire life I've worked with animals and a variety of different animals. I think dogs are the easiest to fake shit on.
Hmm.
So I think so 15 years with horses, I feel they're a lot more sensitive than the majority of dogs. Big cats are the absolute ultimate reader of your body language, and you cannot have any weaknesses around them. Like even just like this little fidgeting that I'm doing, man, you can't do that. I had to have this necklace fixed on my chain so I couldn't do this. You can't fidget, you can't limp, you can't breathe funny. Like animals pick up on that, and all they have to do all day is to watch us and to live with us. And so of course we have some dogs that are a lot more perceptive of that than others, especially herders. And I don't feel that that's touched upon as much. At least I don't see it. I don't see trainers focusing on it in little ways, but I don't see it as a subject matter. And
Hmm.
so, like my group class that I've run for many years, I focus on a lot of those signals that communicate to our dogs whether we've got control or not. And but so for anybody that's a fan of Jay, you'll hear him talk about like grabbing a dog and saying, if the dog has a problem with a mailman or something, you grab the leash and you just say like, "Oh, we're walking like it ain't shit." And the dog's like, "Well, shoot, I guess it ain't shit." That's a little example of what I think people teach as a baseline of, "Oh, walk confidently," but then I see it stop there a lot. And there's just so many subtle nuances with our body language and our voice tone that we should be aware of, and that you don't actually have to be calm, at least with dogs, to put that persona out. And the really neat thing is that it will change the way that you feel about yourself. Like if you take someone who walks every day with their head held down and they're constantly looking around for things, you tend to be more of a nervous person. Now, that might you might walk that way because you're nervous, but it
Hmm.
perpetuates that feeling and that disbelief in yourself, or that feeling that you can't control your world, or just that fearful persona. Now, if you take that person, like, just think like raising a little kid, you teach them to look people in the eye, you teach them to have a good firm handshake, you teach them to walk with their head up and their shoulders back, right? Good posture. I got my mom to thank for that. Those types of things make you a more confident, assertive, I'm trying to overdo that word, but more of a confident person. And you
Hmm.
believe in yourself more because you have that. One thing I worked even more with big cats than with horses was using my peripheral vision and having situational awareness. And that is the thing I feel my clients struggle when I first meet them more than anything. It's just constantly like they just hold their breath and they immediately look off at what their dog signaled them to. And it's that
Hmm.
instant, and I'm not talking these huge signals like tensing up on the leash yet, but it is that immediate pause, freeze, stare, deer in the headlights. And in fact, back in the day when I used to write articles on the old outdated site Tumblr, if you want to go back and look at those, they're still there. I wrote an article called "Be Braver Than Your Dog," and I say, "Be the lion, not the gazelle." And so the body language that we have when we're concerned, the first thing we do, hold your breath, is the biggest sign of tension. Staring at what your dog is staring at as you hold your breath is this gigantic red flag to your dog. And I'm not even saying, tension travels through the leash kind of thing. We're not even there yet. But just that moment, you are perpetuating a fearful outlook in yourself, and you are signaling to that dog. And even if that dog isn't looking around at that moment, if you do it there unconsciously, believe me, you do it somewhere else.
Mhm.
And our voice tone, if I look at a dog and I say stay, I mean, that's the first tone. When anybody says stay, if they don't believe it's going to happen, stay and leave it. Those two things is where you hear that question, that loaded tone. And it is the worst. It's the worst. It's my pet peeve. So it's those things that just kind of remind us on a daily basis. I don't got it. I don't have it. I don't
Yep.
have it. I don't have it. I don't believe
Yep.
this is going to work. And then it goes into these big, big signals of stop. Or one of the reasons why I say to people, don't use your dog's name for correction. It's not the normal uh oh, because you don't want your dog to see the name as negative kind of thing. It's the fact that that's where we show the most frustration out of
Mhm.
anything is when we say the dog's name.
Yep.
Buddy, or that warning tone, buddy. Like none of those things suggest telling your dog what to do, what not to do, or even that you've got control. So, not even getting into the whole are you giving your dog the right direction or not? It's just betraying in your tone, I don't have control over
Mhm.
my emotions or the situation. And
Yep.
so, something that I feel sets me apart, and just stuff that I've learned over an entire lifetime with different animals, is if you look like you have control, you make sure that you are breathing. You make sure that you are not immediately looking at the thing that scares you, or the thing that you're unsure of. You focus more on what could I do, like, instead of, is my dog going to lunge at this dog? Be like, how's my dog's position? How's he feeling? What's he currently saying? Like, staying in the moment and not looking ahead at all of these things that haven't even happened yet. Our body language reflects a lot more confidence. And it's not just to the dog, man, it starts changing that perception within yourself.
Mhm.
And so it is, yeah, it's the whole fake it till you make it, but I feel that's such a crap way of putting it, because it doesn't do what I teach justice at all. And I'm
Mhm.
sure a ton of people teach this. I just don't see it focused on a lot when it comes to how our body language and our voice tone reflects our confidence or our lack thereof,
Yeah.
let
No,
alone
I
how it
100
affects the dog.
Yeah, no, I
So
100% agree. I mean, it's like low key, like literally us dog trainers, like when we talk about that stuff to our clients, I feel like we're like therapist slash Dr. Phil. Because at that point, like, right, it's like, it's not it's like when I tell it's like sometimes I'll even talk to clients and be like, hey, what do you do for work? Like, what are you good at? And you're like, oh, I'm a nurse, or like I'm like mortgage
totally.
dealer or something. And I'm like, all right, I need you to do me a favor. When you walk this dog, I don't need you to be cuddle mom and feed steak at the couch mom. I need you to be nurse going in for a surgery. I need you to be like a mortgage, just breathe and just like I want you to be the best you. I don't need you to like be like I don't need you to act like me. Like as I am me, you are you, But like I tell clients all the time, it's just like, like if your head's down, your leash is really up high, your hands are up high, like tight and all that, and you're just like this, looking at like the next thing to like be scared of. It's like your dog is just gonna be like, all right, like
Yeah,
I guess mom is a little bit. I guess mom can really help me out here, so I'm a default to this because this seems to
sure.
work, you know.
Well, and
And
and then we've got the whole this animal is powerful and I am not. Like,
hmm
you and I work with a lot of people who can physically muscle the dog, but then maybe their spouse cannot.
hmm
And even letting go of, is physically being powerful more powerful than the dog even important, or is that even helpful in the situation? We have to teach people how to feel confident handling those powerful animals. And that's one thing that I love teaching, because, like, man, I was handling 1,000+ pound horses when I was little. And then the whole tiger and lion thing, when you have connection through the leash, that's what I love about teaching leash work. When you have light hands, when you have connection through the leash, it changes your power and it actually makes you a lot more powerful. In fact, that's what I testified at on the trial in early May, was how the person, the plaintiff, actually set themselves up for failure by double wrapping the leash and being like this, because not only does that signal fear to the dog, but it actually makes you lose control. Like, you have no
Mhm.
buffer zone when the dog lunges, you have no ability to
Mhm.
time anything, and then we are just perpetuating this whole, man, I am loading you up for things that are going to happen. You're agitating the dog. So like
Yep.
those things go hand in hand and hand in hand in hand. I mean, they are all grouped together. And so you and I watch it affect our dogs on a daily basis. But the deepest part of that is, just like I said before, it constantly tells our clients to live in that state of fear, panic. I'm terrified of what's going to happen. I've had so many cases just in the last couple months of people who literally just are terrified to walk outside with their dogs because of what could happen.
Mhm.
And that body language, it's written all over their face. Like, how many times, Kevin, have you been in a room where a dog is sizing you up and you can literally scoop the tension up in your hand because of how silent everyone's holding their breath, and you're like, you guys are going to get me bit. You guys are going to get me bit just by being that quiet. Like, you guys need to start talking to each other right now, because your
Mhm.
dog is going to just think you don't like me because you all changed when I walked into the room. All those
Yep.
things, that it's so much more than just the animal picking up on it. It's more about the the people constantly living that way.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the reasons why I implement a lot of what I call my calming conversation, which is where I'm teaching my clients in stressful moments to talk to their dogs, but to talk really quietly and talk really slowly,
Mhm.
which you are not hearing from me right now. In fact, when I did the trial, the judge had to tell me to slow down, God, about 10 times, well, about five. Uh, she was like, "You're clocking at 260 words per minute or so." So, but when it comes to helping someone regulate their own emotions, it is one of the most frustrating things to hear. You need to be calm. No one in the
Mhm.
history of calming down, Kevin, has ever calmed down by being told to calm down. I hope you take that as a pearl of wisdom there. But
Trust
it
me, my mom has taught me that lesson, and I have a lot of friends who are girls, so I've learned
I
from
figured
other
you already knew that. I figured you
I
already
have
knew
learned
that.
I have learned from a lot of just
So
people making that mistake for me to not make that mistake, so
sure, sure. So it's when people say in our sessions, I'm sure you hear this all the time. We hear, "Oh, okay, so I just need to be calm." And I say, "Hey, look, we all know we're supposed to be calm. I don't care about that. I really don't. Like, this is not practical or sustainable. You need to sound quiet and you need to
Mhm.
speak slowly." And it's
Mhm.
so much more doable for people when I say speak quietly and slowly, lower your tone. And they're, "Oh, okay, so be more masculine, be deeper." I'm like, "No, no, no. You don't need to. I need you to just speak at a lower volume and slow it down." And
Mhm.
one of the articles I wrote, I think I posted it on my Patreon a little bit ago, which is it's called Fail Safes.
Mhm.
And so when people cannot have that higher pitched tone, that's another thing. Higher pitched tone, it's, of course, we know, oh, that suggests excitement, and that's what I love about Jay is clarity. You don't need to worry so much about these micromanagements of
Yep.
your tone. But in
Yep.
the beginning, I tell people, like, "Hey, this is not a moment where your dog to be super excited." But it goes way deeper than that. When they're scared of things, that high pitched tone is where we suggest the most anxiety and nervousness in our voice. So I tell them to whisper. I say,
Mhm.
whisper to your dog the whole time. Then, "We got this. I got you. You're doing great." Right? I say, I need you to coach your dog, but I need you to be at a whisper, and that changes a lot for people. One, I think that dogs, I don't think, I know that many dogs are much more engaged when you whisper than a normal tone. It's fun and it's interesting. And Pomeranians, especially, dude. Pomeranians love it when you whisper. They start
Mhm.
strutting and looking up at you and they look really cool. They're happy about that. So, but
Mhm.
just that whisper tone helps people not, it takes the pressure off of them to sound the right way. And then
Sure.
all of a sudden they're looking at their dog more, they're talking through their fear, which means you can't hold your breath. That's why I have them do it, because if you hold your
Yeah.
breath, everything else about you is going to change. You're going to slow down
Yeah.
as soon as you see that dog or that person come around the corner. You're going to look around for your exits. Of course, then we get the inevitable tightening of the leash. But even if you don't do those big signals, you slow down, you hold your breath, and you stare at the thing that scares you. And those three
Mhm.
things we cannot have if we expect the human to start having confidence before they have good experiences. Because you got to have
Mhm.
good, I mean, you might end up having some good experiences before you have confidence. But ideally, it feels really good for the client to get some good experiences without having to be perfect yet, right? So, like, ideally, if you could lower your voice, strengthen your stride as you walk by the thing that scares of you, or at least don't slow down. Like, loosen your hips and walk with purpose, walk
Mhm.
intentionally. So, I tell people just longer strides. Boom, that changes, that loosens their hips. Look at your dog. Looking at your dog creates a total change in your shoulder. They relax their arm a little. I say, stare at your leash. Look
Mhm.
at your leash. Where's the clip? Is the clip touching the neck? Is the, like, so these are actionable things. And then I need you to talk to your dog. Whisper, whisper, whisper. And those things start giving them these little options, these solutions. I'm very solution oriented, solutions without having to feel a certain way.
Mhm.
And I did that a lot with big cats because, man, they can tell your blood pressure with their whiskers.
Mhm.
So you can, it's very hard to fake stuff to cats, but if you have those body language signals down, you actually start regulating your own heart rate. You start regulating your adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
If you are acting a certain way, it does help your fight or flight systems. And then the cats would respond a lot better to me. And
Sure.
of course with horses too, like you kind of have to do a little bit of that. I just didn't focus on it as much as a career or a life or death situation with horses. Although I was in some pretty nasty situations with horses too,
Sure.
um, but
I
not as
think
much
I
as the big
think
cats.
yeah, I think, like, right, I mean, I didn't even know about the blood pressure thing with the whisker, that's really cool, but, like, right, like, being able to kind of, like I think that's cool about, like, when you work with different animals is, you're way more adaptive and you're, obviously horses, if, like, you put too much pressure on the horse, that horse is gonna, like, run away or back off, like, and with a cat, right, like, with a tiger, right, like, if you are, like, feeling anything but, like, calm or, like, confident, I'm like, "Well, you're kinda fucked there." You We can swear a little bit in
Yeah,
this thing, so we're good,
a
but,
little bit.
like, right,
Okay.
right, like, because I had Jay on here and he swore, like, a lot. I was, like, totally okay with it at that point, but going back to what we're talking about, right, like, with people, like, yeah, it's all the things you talked about, like, like, not breathing, hair goes up, goosebumps, or even just like, I sometimes I joke with my clients, I'm like, "Don't clench your ass." I'm like, "Listen," I'm like,
I
how
have not
we
used that one. I don't
yeah,
think it would go over as well if I used it
I
versus you.
know. Here and there, I'm like, I won't use it all the time, but "Listen," I'm like, "Don't do it." And I'm just like, we're it's like you and I, like, if we see the mailman or if we see, like, the traffic cone across the street or something, we're just like, "Oh, it's no big deal," you know? And, like, I think just, like, with clients, it's so important to teach where it's just like, don't I think just being proactive versus, like, trying to be reactive, like, when, like, you see the dog and you're, like, bracing for impact, like, they're waiting for it to happen.
100%. People
Um,
put themselves in bad situations like that all the time.
yeah.
Going around a corner. For me, as a person who has been in many situations that you just don't do this stuff, and then also just practicing uh the few years of fighting that I did, as well as just being a woman in a variety of situations and neighborhoods that you have to be watchful. Situational awareness is so important. How many times do we have clients that walk around a blind curve with a reactive dog on the close side, and they're walking like, if here's your hedge or here's well, they're walking like this instead of making anything wide. Or when they see a fence and they are in a neighborhood where dogs run up on fences, and they're just like, I'm going to keep my dog on the same side and we're going to walk this close to the fence. It's, to me, it's mind boggling because of that's just not who I am. Like my
Mhm.
entire life is about looking at what could this situation be and how can I be aware of it before it presents itself. But it is not the norm. Like if
Mhm.
you heard a big noise, not you, but if people in general, if they hear big noise, the first thing people do is they stop and they crane their head to look over. And I'm just like, I cannot fathom being that person. Like to be so unaware of your world to where you would have to stop and completely turn around because you don't already know what's around you, just that is crazy to me. And so I try
Mhm.
to teach that a little bit. Like one of the things that I tell my clients is just a little exercise they can do, and you can do this anywhere, is stop at one point, just see what can I see on my left and my right without changing my head or my eyes. So like right
Mhm.
now I can see my water bottle cap, I can see the little dinosaur hand puppet, I can see a little bit off in the distance the mosquito spray, and I can see my gallon of water, and then everything else over here is like some plants, right? And that's just me not looking. Now I can
Mhm.
use my left eye and be like, I can see these items clearly, right eye item clearly, but without moving your head. Okay.
Right.
And so that exercise I feel strengthens your situational awareness just because of your practicing using your peripheral vision more. Uh, One difficult thing that I had once was a client that had no peripheral vision because of surgeries. So we worked
Mm.
out some modifications there. But I truly believe that is an important skill for anybody, let
Sure.
alone in your work with animals, is just to be able to see the things around you without having to turn your head, as well
Mhm.
as just your hearing. Like when people hear the jingling of dog tags, right? And I say, don't whip your head around. What can you see? What can you hear? Is it getting closer? Use your hearing and use the corner of your eyes.
Mhm.
Another thing, I'll have a lot of people, they will try what I'm doing, but they make it really awkward. So they'll look like this. Like they're trying to do what I'm telling them to, but their body's still frozen. So I say, hey, look at your dog first. Order of operations. I say this a lot. Order of operations. Look at your dog first, then use your eyes to see what it is. Because so let's say there's a dog over there, my dog's head whips around and I'm trying to work on my own courage and not show my dog how reactive I am, right? First thing I do is look at my dog and then I just raise my eyes. So this is a much more normal human reaction than trying to crane your eyes over here left or right without moving your head. Look down and then just lift your eyes and be like, oh yeah, that's so and so's dog around the corner, but I have a solution and I'm going to focus on this plan of action, as opposed to that, which is,
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
it. Are you going to help me out in this situation, dog? Like, what's the
Mhm.
next move, dog? Right? I'm asking you what to do. So those things I think are a better order of operations, is look at your dog first and then use the corner of your eye to see how close to me is it. Or even if you lift your head, shoot, I don't care that much. I just care about this dramatic reaction that people
Mhm.
have to hold their breath, look with this high raised head like you are truly an antelope ready to run, a deer in the headlights, and you slow down. And those
Yep.
things are like, because you're
Yep.
looking for an exit and you're really wishing that you weren't here. And
Yep.
so your dog's just like, all right, you don't like this dog, you don't like this person. It's up to me to
Yep.
take care of us both.
Yep.
And so, yes, we would love to just train the dog to where it doesn't matter how you feel and you're just like confident in your dog. But in the beginning, and in, of course, as you know, we don't always get those ideal clients that will work with us from the bottom up and avoid all triggers until the dog is ready, right?
Yep.
We
Yep.
have many people from the apartment complex to the car. You need to have control of your dog to get your dog out of the neighborhood, to go to that park and put him on that
Yep.
flexi, right? And
Yep.
you
Yep. Yep.
cannot put blinders on your dog the whole time, and you can't just shove cookies in his mouth.
Yep.
So without going into all the strategies that you and I employ, just that situational awareness changes your own belief in your own capacities, and your dog will pick up on it even if there's still a little stinker and reacting to things. You're going to have a better handle on your emotions, you're going to have a better handle on how
Sure.
you handle it physically, if you practice having better situational awareness and focusing on continuing to breathe.
Oh,
And people just
yeah.
don't,
No.
they hold their breath.
Yeah,
So
no, I love it. That's the thing that's like every time I'm like out with clients, whether we're on a walk or like we're at the park, I'm always emphasizing be aware of your surrounding and just stay present, like
Yeah.
because it's the exact same thing with what you said. Is just like, they see trigger, you look at dog, you're like, and then they do stuff like, don't do it, or like
Yep.
like you're
Stay.
like
Like
you're
that's
like
why I hate it. Yeah. I hate
you're like
that's why I hate that loading tone.
you're
Unless you
like
say ready.
you're
Ready?
like
That's that other one.
yeah, right, like ready, but and then they're just like, don't do it. I'm like, no, or like, and I'm
Be
like, oh god,
nice. Be
you're
nice.
like,
Leave
yeah,
it.
you're like,
Leave
don't,
it. Leave
it's
it.
like no, like no bark, and then you're
Right.
just like, and you're just like, what do you do? And I'm like looking at them like, what are you doing? And they're just
But
like,
see, but in all fairness, like you and I, of course, we can joke about that. But but just for anybody
sure,
that you end up sending this to, or because I'm pretty sure it's just you and me on this conversation right now. I don't know how it's checked in,
yeah,
but
well,
for any clients, like these are things that we're just unaware of. For
sure,
you and me, man, this is our life, like from day to day. And of course it's easier for them to hold us on this pedestal because we do know what to do. We do know what to
hmm,
do. Even
yep,
if the situation gets completely effed, like we know what to do to get ourselves out of it and to keep the dog as safe as possible, right? And we've
yep,
been in enough scenarios that we have faith in our abilities, even if we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Those clients do not. And so
hmm,
that's why I focus so much on in that moment, like what's your tone? Level and flat. Put a period at the end of that. Put a period give a statement, not a
hmm,
question. Is this is
yep,
give a statement. Quiet your tone. Quiet. Like, what do you
yep,
do if you pick up the
I,
phone and the person on the other end is whispering? Dude, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start whispering. At least that's what I do. So it's while it is frustrating of just what are you doing, they literally are just
they're just doing
they
with
don't
what they're
they're
used
not
to.
they're just doing what they're used to, and
Yep,
people don't typically lie to their dogs in that way.
sure,
Like we come home and we're like, cool, a dog that loves me even if I smell. Like you don't care about my style or my fashion, and you love me for who I am, kind of thing. And people don't want to bring their work home to their dog. And
sure,
so that's where they get to see the real raw human emotion of who this person is. So you have to train it. It's a skill. It's
sure.
absolutely a skill, and you have to train it when you're not just with your dog.
Oh yeah.
um and it's just in your interactions with people. So that's, sometimes little analogies are gold, and some of them I'm terrible at, especially if I try to take someone else's analogies. But like when it comes to voice tone, handling multiple dogs or being able to speak differently in a certain situation, I'll say, hey, look, how many times have you been on the phone as you're at the checkout line and you're
Hmm,
talking with someone in this tone, and then all of a sudden you say, thank you very much, have a good day, and your voice tone immediately switches. Or if I cannot get a client to get out of this whole question loaded warning tone, I'll ask them something that I know they don't have on them. I'll be like,
hmm,
hey, by the way, do you have $50 on you? They'll look at me and they'll be like, no. And I'm like, that's how I want you to talk to your dog. Quiet statement, or I don't actually use the $50. I don't know why I said that because that might get a weird look. But I'll say something like, hey, did you bring an extra leash? No, I don't. Boom. That's how I want you to talk to your dog. And then I get a little bit of a smile or a laugh and they get it.
hmm,
But I have a lot of empathy for people that have not had the luxury of practicing this every day, to where like you had to do this, which is why I firmly believe that everybody should put themselves in a martial art, or jujitsu is the best, or judo, or put themselves in an activity that requires you to be brave, that requires
hmm,
you to handle something that makes you scared, and you have to step up and say, this might not end well, but fuck, here I am, I'm gonna do it. And
yeah.
because there, for so many reasons, you need to do that, because you will learn how to trust yourself a lot more and be able to act at least like you have a plan, even when shoot, you might not.
Yeah, no,
So
no, 100%. Like, I think, like, I'll make this little example, and even just like, right, like, I think just it's one thing, like, you could have like all the different kind of tools on your dog, right? Like, and have, I don't know, I'm gonna throw in, I'm just putting it out there, like I don't know, filet mignon in your treat pouch for some reason for your
Mm.
dog, but like right, like your best asset or your best tool, it's literally you, like your inflection with your voice, like how you talked about like whispering or just not question, not like telling your dog in a question mark, like have it with a period, just having it where like my voice is an asset. My body language is just like a tool
100%.
where I'm just like where I just dude, we're gonna do this. Like right. Like I tell clients where it's like right, like when you're out with your dog, it's the same way, like, like, hey, when you go out with your kids, like your kids are convinced that you got it, you take care, you can take you got the whole thing managed, even though you might not in some situations. It's just like where to go. Like you're not like nervous to take your kid around, or like when
Nick,
you
yeah,
go out.
you're not falling apart just because you something in your environment was questioned. Although I've had plenty of parents fall apart in all sorts of situations, and I'm sure
Yeah,
that I have in many. I know that I have
I
in many, but
yeah,
uh, but it's that whole little kid falling
it,
down, the parent that freaks out, the kid turns on the waterworks, little kid falls down, parent says,
yeah.
"Yeah, buddy,
Well,
get on up, you're okay." You get less
yeah,
tears.
exactly. Even just like right, like let's say like little like small examples, like right, like if I go for an interview for a job, right, like if I'm going in like very like this like this and I'm walking up to get my interview and then I talk to them, maybe I might, like, for me it's like I want to just kind of look the part, and like I want to go in like calm, cool, collected kind of thing, and just like show that I can.
So take calm, cool, collected, Kevin, and give me physical things instead.
Let me
Because
see.
that sounds great,
But then what does it
but
look like? Like
what does that look
what's
like?
the
Yeah.
picture? Yeah. So I mean, like I feel like for me it's like I'm more like, for me I think of it like head up, like kind of not kind of like like I'm not like I'm not like chest out like this, like Giga Chad kind of thing, but I just want
You're
I'm
not
not
flexing
flex
on your new boss.
I'm not flexing, right? But like just come in, just have a nice strut, just like not like just very just much like relaxed in the sense like my shoulder, like I'm not hunched over like this. My shoulders aren't like tense. It's just very just like
The posture's
the
huge. The posture is really
posture.
huge.
Yeah.
And I feel the whole slumped shoulders thing. Oh,
Hmm.
like now I know why my mother would walk by and just do this. She would
Hmm.
just shape my spine. Emily
She
Jane,
did that
posture.
to you too. My mom did that same thing.
My whole life in classrooms I got made fun of so much because when
Yeah.
I sat in desks, this is how I sat, but I
Hmm.
am so grateful for it. And another thing that my mother did, my mother's been gone for 12 years now, which just seems crazy. It doesn't feel that long, but I
Hmm.
like to give her credit where I can. Is she would always say, Emily Jane, enunciate your words. And extremely annoying, but incredibly beneficial when you are teaching clients to be assertive, when you're
Sure.
teaching clients to be clear, not this whole string of slurring words, like the mumble rap, versus the 90s rap that is so much better, right?
Hmm.
So clear words gets your point across in such a firmer way without having to be loud, aggressive, frustrated, all of those things that loud and aggressive turns into is frustrated and a lack of emotional control.
Sure.
And so when I tell people, make your words as clear as possible, but speak very quietly. Oh my gosh, the way that they are able to communicate is everything. And I love it when we get that dog that I feel, of course, I'm anthropomorphizing in a big way, but I feel that the dog was like, I'm going to make it really, I'm going to give you a bone here. And I'm going to change in such a dramatic way just when you did that. That you're like, oh, it worked, But because some dogs really will. They're like, I'm going to
Yeah.
ignore you. I'm going to ignore you. You did it right. I'm going to listen. Do that
Yeah.
one next time. Right. So, but just the clear words is ridiculously useful when it
Hmm.
comes to communicating your spoken language with animals. And I am very anti the I'm very anti telling people talk less to their dog.
Hmm.
Not like I do believe body language is of course massively important, and I have Larry mentioned the whole 24 hours, don't talk to your dog thing. I have had a couple of my clients do that, and it's very neat if they can actually do it. So I'm 100% with him on that. But, and I don't know if that was his thing or not. I just got that from him.
Mhm.
But I don't, I, when people are like, talk less to your dog, I actually disagree, because we as humans, we are a verbal species. Like, we talk, we communicate through our spoken language, and our words change the way that we reflect. And this is where uh Jay and I might butt heads a little bit, because I have a lot of superfluous language.
Mhm.
And so I will speak a lot to a dog to show a client. It makes your body language so much more communicative to say, don't even think about it. Baby, mommy's working right now. Uh to say like, hey, buddy, I got this, versus leave it might sound a lot more negative than a full on sentence. So instead of talk less, it's communicate communicate more clearly.
Mhm.
Hey, Connor. And so to communicate more clearly, you have your little isms. You have a little way that you might speak
Sure.
to your kid, or you might speak to your friend. Like, what would you say in this scenario? And I watch, because I find a lot of people struggle with what to say. So I
Mhm.
know a lot of dog trainers will be like, here's your vocabulary. And I have the same thing. I have this very distinct vocabulary I send to every single new client when it comes to Jay's windows and these opportunities versus responsibilities. But if I have a client who's nervous walking by a dog or so and so's house that they have a grudge match, man, I'm saying, tell your dog you got it. Tell your dog we got this. Tell your
Mhm.
dog he's doing great. Like, here's some words, here's some phrasing that you can use, and it so it makes a big difference when people are feeling loose enough to say something in a sorry, I'm getting distracted by my little
No,
men.
it's okay. This is so
But you
that's
get
so
the point.
cute.
Yeah, I get the point. I'm going. I'm finding a lot of ways to say the same thing,
Sure.
buddy. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay. Um. Yes, I will go to jujitsu with you. I'm going to teach class today. So yeah,
But
it.
but yeah,
I like talking to your teaching people talk
I
to your dogs a little bit more.
yeah, like I've done like back like you way like years ago when I was like my only background was like, you know, watching Dog Whisper and all that. And I feel like, like that was my starting point, but then like I definitely
Mine
evolved
as
after
well.
like definitely just like I evolved just like learning watching how Jay like talk to dogs, just being like, because I at the end of the day, like I kind of like every what you do with dogs is also life. It's life skills too. Where like right, like I tell the clients, I'm like, hey, I need you to like I need you to treat it like a relationship where, like, in the sense where, like, as much as you want to tell him all the bad shit he's doing right now, highlight all the good stuff he's doing. Where I'm like,
I like
I'll say,
that.
I'd be like, because I'll bring it up. I'll be like, hey, you don't tell you don't just tell your husband all the things he's doing bad, right? Like you do tell him good feedback, right?
I don't
Like,
know, man. I
or,
walk into a lot of sessions where they do exactly that. Of course, you do too.
yeah,
That's dog
of
trainer, and you
course,
mentioned earlier the therapist thing. Like, that's what we
yeah,
are. And I actually wrote an article. ICP published it last year, or no, 24.
mm-hmm,
Um, helping client dynamics or something like that,
mm-hmm,
where you walk in and one person wanted to hire you and the other did not,
mm-hmm.
and one person is crossing their arms and looking at you like saying, yeah, go ahead and try to teach me. Right. And then you have the whole, you know, sorry to throw you under the bus here, honey. And this is both genders. They do this all the time. Sorry to throw you under the bus, honey.
Yeah,
But she does this all the time. I'm the, insert person doing it correctly. He or she does insert doing this
mm-hmm,
incorrectly. And then they're just at it with each other back and forth. And you have to make both people want to listen and want to help each other. And that's where we draw upon, like, for me, my degree in psychology helped a lot. But I truly feel, just like in the words of Matt Damon in Goodwill Hunting, I could have received the same with overdue fines at the library.
mm-hmm.
Um, it still helped a lot with my interpersonal communications, but so much of it was when I worked big cats, I had to handle groups of 50 to 60 people multiple times a day, and so many of those people would walk in arms folded and being like, you are this 125-pound little blonde chick working big cats, and I do not believe that you know anything, and I'm going to criticize and be as skeptical as possible. And I got that my whole life, of just skeptics that are like, why should I listen to you and why are you good? And there's no way that you have the amount of experience that you have. There's no way that you have had that in your lifetime,
Mhm.
because you're young. And I'm like, hey, cool, thanks for the compliment, right? But no, truly, it's been my entire life, day
Yep.
in, day out, live it, eat it, breathe it, sleep it. And so with the big cat thing, like I had to make people want to listen to me, and also like me in a way of just loosen up a little bit. And there are a ton of people that don't like me, man. I'm not the right fit for everybody, but I have to, in client situations like yours, as well, we have to make them have some element of camaraderie and partnership with each other, because the dog
Sure.
is going to see that and going to be like, ha. It was like my parents. Like I I did my own thing as early as age 8, because I looked at my parents and I was like, you guys don't know anything. You cannot even get along with each other. You hate each other. You hate each other. Why in the world would I look to you for solving my life problems? I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I'm going to go off and do my own thing, which I did as
Yep.
much as I could.
Yep.
And like dogs pick up on that in a heartbeat. So if the people cannot, if so you have to engender that partnership as a dog trainer. I think I've said maybe twice in I've been doing this, only the dog train stuff. I've been doing that for 16 years and running the dog listener. And I think twice I've looked at clients and said, you guys need to figure out what you want. I'm not coming back until you do. Only twice.
Yep.
Besides that, I think it was just like, it is my mission. I'm gonna be really hard on myself to try to make you guys like partner up with each other. But man, it's hard when
Yep.
people are just at each other's throats, and then you're like, or the people that are, you're their fifth trainer, it's their last straw. Like
Yep.
they're just like, I have no hope in this. I'm desperate. There's nowhere for the dog to go.
Mhm.
And it's either euthanasia, or we live with this dog who's ruining our life. We're at each other's throats about it. We're highly stressed, like the dog bit the kid or bit multiple family members.
Yep.
Um, and you need to fix it right now. But I'm so burnt out that I have no energy to put in any work.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do for me? And you're just
Yep.
like, woo, like
You're
that's a
like,
tough
"Well,"
one.
yeah, you're like, "Alright, that's gonna be a margarita day after that one lesson," but
One of
yeah,
the few
no.
things I'm grateful with my senior dog, that the rescue dog that I first, cried to Jay about, that is one thing I'm really grateful about her, because she taught me how incredibly real, uh how incredibly real I can be, how it's not real, how empathic I need to be to clients who are in the same situation. That and becoming a parent.
Sure.
Um, I criticized parents before I became a parent, and I still criticize some parents for just being, just like making really, really, really foolish choices,
Yep.
just like I would someone who isn't. But being a parent humbled me more than anything, and then also having this dog that has actual brain damage and the worst genetics ever. You need to be able to walk in and tell people like, you're not going to get perfection, and it's totally okay to struggle. And I have so much empathy for people who'll be like, dude, I don't even like my dog. And I'm like, that's okay, man. That's okay. You don't need to. I just need you to put in this little bit here, this little bit here. Like, because I understand. I absolutely understand what it's like. Like, I love Barrett, man. That boy is an awesome dog, but I don't love my senior dog. I don't.
Mhm.
I do not. She eats better than I do, and I do right by her, and I am committed to her until she dies. But I do not love her, and that is
Mhm.
something that people are like, oh my gosh, But anybody who knows me, like knows me is in my circle, like they know that, and that's a
Mhm.
tough place to be. And I
Sure.
don't wish that on anybody. But I empathize so much with my clients, and I can connect with them a lot more. But I mean, like, here's some practical, real world solutions. It's not that I need you to care more or love your dog more. Here's how you can help the situation
Sure.
while being at the end of your rope and not even liking your dog. So
Mhm.
I'm actually very grateful for that. And I think that it makes people a little bit more relieved when they're just like,
Sure.
Like they get that off their chest, and they also realize that you're not there to force them to be you, you
Mhm.
know? So,
I think I mean, like, if anything, like, that those experiences just makes us way more insightful, and I feel like, us being, like, the 5th trainer, it's always because, like, I feel like, you have some trainer who just focus on, like, obedience stops behavior issues, or you'll have, like, one trainer that's like, rainbows, unicorns, and cookies, like, will do that, and then it's just like you go through. I'm like saying, okay, like, what did these trainers go over with you? And then
sure.
I go through. They'll tell me the stuff that they remember, and I'm like, okay, I feel like they're missing a big part, which, like, you and I can be like, all right, did they ever talk about, like, your body language? Like, no, how did they talk about your inflections and your voice and whispering? No,
Yeah,
okay, like,
inflections are a big one.
yeah, and
Inflections and intonations.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, they like, do they actually empathize, or like, do they actually relate to your situation? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool, I do. So I totally get it. Whether I had a problem dog that I had a few years, so I just understand what you're struggling with, or like, I think it's definitely just, I definitely just like, like, for me, like, just looking at the picture, but looking at the small details that we could look at the client and be like, hey, listen, like, I notice your body's this way when the doorbell rings, or like, listen, I notice you're noticing a lot of the you're so used to telling your dog no and things like that, but like, right, this dog just looked at this other dog on the leash for a few seconds, looked and turned this way. I'm like, that this is really good. You should really say something. You should be like, and I was like, you should really say something, like, you'd be like, good dog, or like, that's a like good choice. Like, I love when Jay
Sure.
is like saying like choice, like good choice, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Good
and then I
choice.
and I
Good. Yeah,
and
totally.
I had to and I had to be
I've adopted a lot of that.
yeah, yeah. So then here I am. I'm just like, as the dog is like looking at this, and he turns away. The owner's saying nothing, and I'm just like, good choice. And then that's when she's like, the owner's like, oh yeah, yeah, right, right, right.
Sure.
I'm like, that's real. It's good to be aware of that. And oh, by the way, if people are watching, and feel free to leave comments and leave questions. We kind of just jump right into it, but you guys have seen plenty of my live streams by now that you can just comment whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
if there's anybody that has questions or anything to say, I can't see it on my end, but I wanna feel, answer anybody's questions if they have anything
yeah,
for me, or of course for Kevin.
yeah,
Um, so so
but
yeah, no, it go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say, like, I just love all the points we talked about, just because it's like, right, like, you know, it's very like you and I doing this, like, our body language and like how we um present ourselves. It's like second nature kind of thing. But for someone to listen to this, I think it's really insightful, because this is
Sure.
stuff that's like some people might not even be aware of what they're doing until, like, someone like you and I point out, per se, be like,
Oh
hey,
man,
listen,
all the
right?
time.
Yeah,
All the time.
yeah.
And we got to, and that's why those real world analogies, like when I tell people the scariest voice my mother ever had was very quiet.
Hmm.
So, and then I say this a lot. I say confidence is quiet, insecurities are loud. I say that a
Oh
lot
yeah.
when I walk in and there's a guy that's been yelling at his dog a lot, and he's flexing in on the female trainer, and like, I know everything. The guy that wants to sit back in the chair and be like, I'm not going to participate at all, but I'm going to tell my wife how much she's messing up. Dog trainer said do this, dog trainer said do this.
Uh,
And I'm not hating on the gender as
yeah.
much, but I've had a ton of clients where the wife just berates the husband over and over, and I'm just like, oh, like, I start picking out what I love is the point that he made here, because that helped you there, right? And then like that helps. So I'm really big on gender equality, and because we got to have in just any type of significant other, you have to have that communication, or you're screwed, right? We already talked about that. But I have
Hmm.
never once had a client in the thousands of sessions I've done, I've never had once had a wife sit back on the chair and backyard her husband and be like, backseat coach her husband and say, "Oh no, no, I'll practice later. I'll practice when you're gone." I mean, these days I look and I say to the husband, I'm like, "That won't work. That won't work, because there will be no one there to pick up on the things that you're paying me to pick up on. So come on up. Let's do it." And usually I'll just be like, oh, okay, but I don't do that anymore. I'm
Yep.
like, come on, man. You're paying me for results. You're not going to get results doing it when no one's around. Like, I know you're scared to do it because you're scared of criticism, and I'm not gonna rip you apart. I don't say that out loud, but it's just like, get
Sure.
up and do it. So, but the analogies of my point is, I say that to the men that are yelling at their dog a lot, knock it off. And I say, hey man, confidence is quiet, insecurities are loud. We got to tell your
Mhm.
dog that you expect good results, and the second you yell, you're kind of telling your dog that you don't have as much control as you think you do.
Yeah.
And so the voice, and you're saying the inflection and the intonations, but just also, once again, the volume, and then the little things, the eye contact. Like, I tell my clients all the time, I can look at you like this, and I can look at you like this. Like, I can have a hard stare or a soft stare. But what's
Oh, yeah.
funny is, just, I don't give eye contact to people when I'm talking to them. I look through them. Like, I look at their
Mhm.
neck.
Mhm.
Once in a while, people will remind me that I'm doing it, and they ask me why. They're like, I notice you don't look at me directly in my eyes. And I say, I'm constantly looking through you because I'm aware of that and that. Like, I'm
Mhm.
like, right now, I'm focusing more on almost what's past you, or focusing more on that, whatever that microphone or whatever that you got.
Sure.
If I look directly at your eyes, I miss out on what your chest is doing, what your neck is doing. So,
Yeah.
like, and what's around you. So I actually don't give direct eye contact unless I'm saying a very specific statement.
Mhm.
Besides that, I'm kind of looking at the big picture,
Sure.
and typically it's at the neck or the chest, because that's where an animal moves more. And I forget a lot that I do it, but that's just drilled into me,
Mhm.
I don't know with what. I don't know if it was a horse thing or the big cat thing, or what, but I don't usually focus in on the eyes, because it makes me lose out on the other parts of my environment. So,
Mhm.
but
No, I mean, like,
it's kind of a weird
I,
segue.
I, I I mean, to be fair, it's just like, like, if we do direct eye contact to a dog and then we're just looking at them, like, with hard stare versus like a soft stare, like, you get some dogs that's like, why are you looking at me like that, And
Sure.
I've met people that I'm just like, you know what, I might not look direct, I'm not stare directly at you. I mean, I'll talk with
Hmm.
soft eyes and things like that, but maybe I'll just look at your shoulder, or like I'll look at the
100%.
anime poster. I'll look at the anime poster you got right there. I'll look at the reflection of myself because maybe I like myself in the mirror. Who knows, right? But like, just just little things like that. Even
Yeah.
just
Well, and even in lie detection, man, like, a concentrated eye contact is actually more sign of a lie. It's more
mm-hmm,
sign of deception than not,
mm-hmm,
because people that are lying are trying to convince you of something. And so they give stronger eye contact than someone who's telling the truth.
yeah,
So it makes you actually less honest to give direct eye contact more than generalized awareness.
mm-hmm,
But you know about Jay's 3-second rule. So he's got a very, very authentic way of putting, if you look at me for 3 seconds, that,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
won't
Ye-
butcher it, but he's got to go, and y'all can all ask him about his 3-second
Yeah,
rule. So,
yeah. No, I mean, just yeah. Yeah, Jay just has so many real stuff. I mean, even like when he like puts on a bite suit and then like and the dog like hits like goes for him and he's just like you don't like you they tell Jay be like, oh, how, like you didn't flinch at all or like whatever. He's like, oh, I did. He's like, how? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I blinked. Like little
sure.
things like that. But even just
You
I
all
don't know.
you know your own tells. Like, for me, when I'm mad or frustrated, I curl my toes,
Yeah.
because I cannot show it on my person, unless I'm like, it's like a day off, or like I'm
Hmm.
around my husband or something, and then I do little body language signs that say I'm pissed, that I'm not going to tell people right now,
Yeah.
in case I'm ever around you and I do it. But besides that, I curl my toes. Like, for me, that's my frustrated sign, because I cannot put it out here. We all
Hmm.
got them. We all got our little tells, and that's the thing about dogs, man. They learn it, and so you at least need to practice the all the other things that help you look the part of being a good leader, and looking like you can make good decisions, and looking like you got control over your emotions. And that's another reason why I focus so much on body language,
Mhm.
And I don't mean like the stuff that we've already talked about. Just for example, the assertive body language
Mhm.
of getting up and stepping forward, spatial pressure, even the
Mhm.
tiniest little bit of spatial pressure. It helps people not yell.
Mhm.
People yell when they don't know what to do with their body.
Oh,
And
sure.
it's not even, I feel, a conscious choice. It is a learned behavior of trying to communicate better. We yell because we cannot communicate because I'm further away, even if it's 5 feet. But if I look at the dog and I say, hey, and I do that. That's just to our kids, right? So, hey, I'm coming over there. I'm taking action. Even just saying, hey, and moving forward and doing the whole Caesar Milan thing. And I was very Caesar back in the day
Yeah.
until I was not. Now I'm very, very anti Caesar in so many
Mhm.
ways.
Mhm.
Bleh. But he did influence me in ways of just, hey, look, his body language of stepping forward. I was like, dude, I do that. I was like, I do that. I do that
Mhm.
with horses. I do that with animals in general, is
Yep.
showing I am taking forward motion, and just also just being able, like, you can do it also from the side. I
Mhm.
ran a daycare for years, man. There's probably up to 100, dogs on some days. And you can control a room by being able to take your hand and your foot and being able to direct your body. And I'm not even talking like the really big motions, I'm talking about the little motions
Yep.
and being able to extend your hands away from your body. All of those change the way that you, of course, convey your message. And then you don't have to yell.
Sure.
And so that means that the only time you yell is when you have to project your voice, and that changes everything in how you communicate
Yeah.
to an animal, of course, right? And communicate to people.
Sure.
So if dog jumps on you, instead of this, right, you've got this more assertive posture. Instead of when you're sitting and the dog's coming in towards your space, right, being able to lean forward. If you're down on the ground, being able to posture up, right? Those things take the place of our louder voice. And
Mhm.
once you teach people to do that, and into the even in the tiniest little, I don't know, not as little as micro expressions, but in the smallest ways of being able to move in towards the dog, shift of the hip, 1 inch of the foot, slight motion of the hand, whether it's this or this, like the dip of the shoulder. Oh my gosh, the dip of the shoulder can bring an animal towards you in such a better way than the flex of your arm, right? The little dip, that bringing
Yep.
the animal in, well, the opposite, to send an animal away or to get them to back up or to
Yep.
stop. Oh my gosh, man, that's
Yeah.
volumes to any animal, volumes.
Yeah.
And especially animals that use spatial pressure, communal animals, social animals that use spatial pressure. Uh, that's where working with horses, man, they're prey, but they're communal social animals, and they
Mhm.
absolutely use spatial pressure for to designate their social standing. And I mean, when you're a kid or even just whatever, an adult, and you're communicating around 1,000+ pound animal, and you're not on them and you don't have a bit in their mouth, but you got to be able to communicate, I need my space, right? So there's just so, but walking down a crowded street, right? Being able to maneuver in and out of a crowd, but also
Mhm.
being able to walk like this so people give you room. Like, that's our language, and it means we don't have to yell. And so when
Yep.
we're dealing with clients, and just for anybody that hears this, that needs better control of their voice tone, if you use your body with your voice, your mind will start. And I know I'm sure there's so many people that would have scientific language for this, and I do not. Okay, but just real world application, you will start sounding a lot more in control, and you will not need to yell because your body is already telling your mind, I got this. Your mind is not furiously trying to communicate with volume because you're already
Sure.
communicating with physical action, and you will naturally just be quieter to your dog,
Sure.
right?
Sure. I
So
no, I 100% agree. I mean, like, if anything, like, that's such a big thing that I would love that just have my clients, like, pick up, because it's like the loud just because 'cause you're loud does not there was a quote, it was either, like, from Glenn Cook or Chad or something, where it's like, "You could yell, but someone might but doesn't mean someone will listen to you or, like, hear you," Like,
sure.
just the fact you're just from like, cause us, like how you said, we as people, we're very verbal animals, we're very verbal. creatures with some body language, but when it comes to horses and dogs, like they're a little bit of sound and a lot of body language. That's like, like I want, like, it's like, hey, like how you said, you use that little bit of voice, like, hey, move or whatever, and then step in a little, just little tips like that. It's like, for me, it's like, for most kind, they're like, wow. And I'm like, you're right. And like, imagine like not having to hear your voice echo through the halls just for that
Yeah.
little thing, and like at the same time, like, repetition, like if people like practice just yelling their dogs, they're like very high strung and things like that. I want to work on like that reset where, like, hey, listen, like how we're working on your dog's reactivity, I want you to work on, like, the less yelling you do, I feel like the calmer you're gonna be that when it handles your dog situation. So,
You gotta change that. You gotta, not you, but I try really hard to stay away from the calmer you're going to be. I say the more in control you will feel,
yeah, the
because
more
I
control you'll feel.
I don't want people to focus on being calm as the goal, because for so many it is, that feels unattainable.
Yeah.
That feels unattainable. And I say that just as someone who has is my whole life I've been a very intense person, and I had to struggle a lot with that. Big cats whip me into shape big time on my patience and on not being a little pistol, because you don't, that doesn't fly at all around them. But just as an adult, as a mom, as someone, I hit menopause super early in life. I don't feel that's talked about enough at all with women, is how to
Mhm.
handle incredible, incredible loss of control of your emotions, rage, anxiety, things like that. I think people are not prepared for what that is, especially if it happens when you don't expect it, like me raising three little kids. So my whole life I've tried to not focus on this whole I need to be calm, although Jay's helping to fix that with his breathing exercises and, mala beads and good stuff like that. I mean, that's some good stuff. But I want to focus on feeling in control and helping people feel in control, solution oriented. Like, I can do this. I am in control of something about myself. Being calm just sounds so, I don't know, that's probably a personal thing of me staying away from it. I just feel that my clients treat it as more achievable to say, you will feel more in control, and
I
then you
I
will feel calm, because
I
I don't know,
agree.
I don't know, maybe
I think
that's
so.
just me.
No, I agree. I think it's because, like, sometimes I'll just get clients who are just very, like, bubbly, rainbowy, that I'm just like, I don't think you can function calm. I'm like, listen, you got control.
Or you get the clients that say, I'm just an anxious person. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
it's just my personality. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it
Yeah.
is not.
I'm like, all right, like, I'm like, you know what? If anything, I like that. I like that phrase. I like how you present that too, where it's just like, like, you know what? If you stop, the less you yell, the more control you'll be. Like, it does have a nice ring to it versus just calm, because calm can, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like you're either flat or you're just like this, which some people aren't in general in their personalities. So
Sure.
where was I gonna go with this? Yeah, even just breathing. Like, I tell people sometimes, like, too, like when you're training your dog or when you're out in places, sometimes I just say chew gum. Like, chew gum, like, your mouth is opening, so you're gonna have to breathe through your mouth and all that, like, to kind of help the nerves. And like a stress ball where it's like people want to squeeze stuff. I'm like, all right, kind of do that with your teeth, like chew on that, like kind of like a dog, where like if you're having some displacement behavior, all right, redirect it towards that. Or like, right, you want to bite the person or dog, don't go for that bite the tug toy instead, so um just being able to kind of give like simple things like that. And I think just being able to kind of like give those realistic, you know things to work on, because at the end it's just like it helps.
It's those little details, like you
it's
said.
it's the little things that help you make the big steps, so it's like,
Yeah, the big picture is nice to talk about, but it does not leave people with anything to start with.
exactly,
So
like, right, like, right, I could show you the I could show you the whole canvas of the Mona Lisa, but like, if I don't tell you like the little details on how you get there, it's like but if you try to make a Mona Lisa painting, it's gonna be like a squiggly line spaghetti hair with like
That'd be me.
stick figure, like
Yeah.
so I'm like, just overall the recap and things like that, right? Like,
Mhm.
real just to put it out just for the people that like when you have a dog that's reactive or when you're struggling, right? Like just being able to have like the now you're having me like think about like the body language thing, whereas like I don't like how this calm cool collected look, but like right, like just like like just how you use your voice, like whisper, like not just yelling, like reinforce, like
Making
use
very
you
intentional movements.
making
M
intentional movements, like don't go don't have like that don't have like that startled reaction where it's like you can notice, you can be like, oh, all right, cool, we're all good. The guy just dropped his trash can. It's all good. Let's go. Or like, right, like just your body language, just like how your body language is, how your breathing is, how like, okay, I see that. I look at my dog. All right, let's go. Even just the way we talk,
mm.
like all
That
those things
reminds
are,
me
yeah.
that reminds me of just how people's like, how many times have you had a session, this happens every single day, is where you're handling a dog and you can tell on the client's face exactly what's happening behind you. Exactly.
Hmm.
Because and, and like maybe seconds later, they're like, there's somebody with a dog coming. You're like, I know. It's all over your freaking face. It's all over your body language. It's all over, you don't even have your dog. And I get it. And I get it. I'm not making fun of them at all. But it is just like, if I can see exactly what's happening because of you, what do you think your dog's feeling? Like, and
Sure.
I work in big cats. There was, people's reactions would always tell me a lot about what the cat would have do. Like I had a black leopard. One of the favorite things that people had was he would stalk me with my back turned, and then I would do something and he'd stop, and it would allow for people to get the right photography. So, because we did a lot of photography with these guys, and they would want shots that you can't get easily in the wild, but they didn't want fences or things like that. And so we're in scenarios that are really bad for me to be in a vulnerable position so that the cat can say, "Ooh, I got a shot," right? So, like with the tigers and the leopards, at one point, like you only get maybe a minute, one or two uh, chances for the cat to be like, oh, I'm not going to get you, so I'm not going to give you that good look on the camera. I'm not going to give you that running shot, or I'm not going to give you that stalking pose. So I'd have to try more and more to the point where I'd be fully lying down in a fetal position with my back turned, but I have my eye looking up at the photographer so I can see when their expression changes, so I can know when to stand up and get the cat and put the leash back on the cat because he's charging at me. Right. And one of the things that we had a black leopard do a lot, he'd stalk me from behind and I'd shift my body language and stop. So he'd creep forward, stop, creep forward, stop, creep forward, stop. And I'd watch the crowd to be able to see exactly when I could put a piece of meat up behind me, and he'd make it to the end and he'd jump up and take the piece of meat out of my hand, and it looked awesome. It looked super seamless and rehearsed, and I did never had to turn around to see where he was because I could read the crowd and know where their eyes were and then what their body language was like. Really, really neat experience to be able to read people like that.
Hmm.
And so watching just how they where they look and how they hold their breath and how they move their body and what they do with their feet and what their voice tone is, then I mean that's what the cats are reading too, is they're constantly reading what person is doing what, and then you start understanding why that cat targeted that person, why that dog feels less confident with this person. It's not just because this person knows what to do, it's
Sure.
because this person looks like a target. Like
Sure.
cats are on the planet to take out the sick, the weak, and the stupid, and you can fall into any of those categories any day of the week. And so when you have the like, their loyalty goes out the window in a heartbeat if you look in any way, shape, or form like you are not 100% on your A game every second.
Sure.
And so you fall into complacency, which I almost died a few times getting complacent, which is why you hear me talk about how bad complacency is. Like it's a killer. It's a killer emotionally, mentally, socially, and of course, and dramatically in a real way. So, but cats target the moment you look unstable, and dogs I feel are so much more forgiving, so much
Oh
more
yeah.
forgiving. But and I'm not even talking about on the predatory way as much as it is they just don't pick up on it as much because they have strength in numbers. Like their instincts are more like I won't usually be on my own, whereas a cat is usually going to be on their own, even in a lion pride. They're not always tag teaming with each
Hmm.
other. So there's just so much independent, like it's just me. So I gotta make this hunt perfect. I gotta have everything's precise, extreme amount of patience, extreme amount of analysis of distance and picking the right prey item. You got to pick the right prey item or it's going to fight and you're going to get injured and you're going to have 2 to 3 days rest before you can even try to hunt again. And that it's a 10 to 20% success rate in the wild of actually catching anything, let alone getting
Hmm.
to keep it and eat it. So
Sure.
all of that, means you got to pick the right prey item. And so watching how people fall into that category was always very educational. I want to say interesting, but I didn't really have time to be like, oh, that was interesting. It's just educational. Like you learn very quickly, like you're weak, you're less weak. That is instability, and you fall into that category.
Sure.
So
Sure. I mean, even dogs. I mean, just like with Chad, who I'm gonna talk to. I think either next week or something. We're gonna talk about like what he presented, where like
oh
patterns and
sweet.
patterns and relevance. Like the thing is like we're all busy doing our daily life, but our dogs are just watching us the whole time. They just know our quirks. They just know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the fact that like we teach dogs to train to find cancer and like diabetes or like peanuts, like right, like dogs. I feel like can pick up like just like if we don't between what we look like outside, but inside the dogs are just kind of like okay, something's up. What's happening? So
100%.
just being able to have people be aware like that's happening. That is happening between you and your dog. You're just not noticing it right then and then.
Yeah.
But
Oh man, well that would be
uh,
super interesting. I love Chad's. I use his analogy a lot about have to versus want to. You know
mhm.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
And then
the uh the pet store versus the vet.
yep, yep.
That when people complain to me about not wanting to use motivation or things like that, I use that analogy a lot. That helps big time. Of just imagine spending $400 at the pet store, and you
Oh yeah,
leave being like, oh gosh, like that dog, man, is just so spoiled. All this stuff for my dog, right? But you're actually kind of happy about it. You're excited about all your new stuff. Now go spend 400 at the vet and be like, that money grubbing vet man. They're just in it for those prices and that because there's a huge difference between have to and want to. And
yep,
I was,
yep.
oh man, Chad, that was gold. That was some good stuff from him. So,
Yeah, there was like one quote that was like, everyone like says no or something like that, and then it's just like I think it was just like, hey, like I want to teach people like when they use it, like don't say poopy and like see how you feel like when you're. And it was just like funny. Like I heard this from a podcast, and I'm like, you know what? I like that. Like
yeah,
like fooey or whatever.
sure, sure.
But I was but yeah, just him learning about the seeking system and then like just the whole patterns and relevance. Like dogs can just my dogs just know like the minute we finish up this interview, the minute I say bye to you,
Hmm.
my dogs are gonna pop out. My dogs are gonna like pop out
Yeah, that's so cool.
excitement, and they're like, "Are you done yet? All right, can we go in the car? Can we go for a ride now?" I'm like, "All right, all right." I'm like, "Fair enough. You guys were here for an hour. Like, I wish I had."
Nice.
I'm gonna take a picture
Totally.
real
Do
quick.
do do right by your dogs. Well, yeah, speaking of that though, I did want to announce just, because you got a little bit of a platform here, what is up and coming. You and I talk a lot about Jay. We have a lot of respect for him. He's, the best in the business. And so I am bringing him back to Orange County, California for 2027. We got this time it's going to be a dual workshop. So he has come out a couple times for me already for the Play is the Way workshop, which is just phenomenal. Always new stuff, always great. And then so I'm having him come back and do that, but we're going to add on 2 more days and do GRC dog sports. which is something I'm really excited about. So GRC Jay is the founder of that, and it's some pretty amazing stuff, teaching real fulfillment to dogs, and making a sport out of it. So
No,
traditionally
I'm
that
excited.
is spring pole, weight pole,
Wall
treadmill,
climb.
and or slap mill and wall climb. So
Yep.
I'm going to do my best. It requires me having a freestanding wall climb. Definitely going to make us a spring pole. Gonna do my best to have all those elements, and we'll see what's up about that. But so that's a dual workshop. So I've got a flyer on my page. It's all on my website as well,
Yep.
which is thedoglistener.net. And so anybody that's interested, go check that out and please share. Right now there's only, I haven't checked my messages, they might be gone, but there's only 2 working spots for Play is the Way, and there's 5 working spots left for GRC. So those historically go really, really fast.
Yep.
And so there's some SR training prep. And so for anybody that wants to do the SR test, the social responsibility test, they can train for that, and reach out to me to talk about any of that. But it's going to be epic to add in the GRC sports after. So you can audit one, you can audit both, you can do working for one or working for both. So check out the website. Really, really excited. And I mean, he always puts on an amazing time. So.
No, no. It's always an amazing time. Like I've been to 7 of his seminars, and honestly, I always pick something up new, some shape or form. So like I love it. And plus, like Larry's just no, Jay is just hilarious. I fucking love how he talks to people too. But like, I definitely will be there. I pro-
Sweet.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see if I can bring my Malamar to do the SR, because we've done the SR at least 3 times. We failed on very minute stuff, and I'm like,
Ah, that's
I
exciting.
am, I want to pass. I want to at least get an SR1 on my dog, so because
Ooh, okay.
she's practiced.
Cool.
So
Well, hey man, tell me where to put you on the list. Because yeah, I wanna let me know what you want so I can hold something for you if that's what you want to do. So
for sure, for sure. But listen, guys, I think Emily and I are gonna wrap up. So I appreciate anyone that came to say hi, Ivan, Stacy, Stella, and Mackenzie. It was good to have you guys, and feel free to hit us up for any questions. And yeah, next live stream will be Chad Mackin. I'm gonna make a post about him later, but
cool.
we're gonna wrap up right
Definitely
now.
check that out.
But everyone, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.